through all which is around us, of all the things we are expected to be. This is who we are. We are servants. We are caregivers. We are punctual. We are role models. We are strong. We feel pain. We are brave. We are compassionate. We are caring. We make tough choices. We love. We are dedicated. We are focused. We are trustworthy. We are committed. We are honorable. We will treat all persons the same. We are prepared. We are our history. We are tradition. We are South Carolina. We are our community. Though we look outwardly different, we are inwardly the same. We are righteous. We are one. We have your back. We are not judging. We are ever vigilant. We are involved. We will offer our lives for yours. We value our family. We sharpen our skills daily to better serve. We are your neighbor. We are the person next door. This is who we are. We are the South Carolina State Firefighters Association.
It is my honor and privilege to welcome you here tonight to our award ceremony and transfer of command. At this time, I would ask State Fire Marshal Jonathan Jones to please come forward for the invocation.
Thank you. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, God, tonight we come to you with grateful hearts. God, we are thankful for your grace. We are thankful for your mercy upon us. God, we're thankful for your goodness. And God, you continue to bless us. And Lord, we thank you for blessing us tonight with people to honor. And God, people who have lived heroically, who have given their lives selflessly. Lord, we just thank you for blessing our lives with theirs. And Lord, we pray that tonight as we honor them, that we would honor and glorify you. And we pray, Lord, that you would bless this food. Lord, nourish our bodies with it and set our hearts to serve you. In your name we ask and pray. Amen.
Let's give our friends, the Coastal Carolina Shields Pipes and Drum Bands, a hand. At this time, they tell me I got to give you instructions on how tonight's going to go. We've got 2 buffet lines in the rear. Both lines are double-sided. On the sides against the wall will be dessert. There is 2 bars in the back if you wish to see them. And before we do that, I would like for the individuals receiving awards with their families to go first, if you don't mind, and then the rest of the room, please follow in behind them. That way we can keep tonight's program as short as possible, because we do have a long program. I want them to go first. So Hall of Fame, Firefighter of the Year, I believe we've got Meritorious Action. If y'all would please go first, and then the rest of the room follow behind. Please continue to eat. We're going to go ahead and get the program started. As I stated earlier, we have a long program, and we want to make sure we are consistent with the time, and so we're going to go ahead and start, but please continue to eat, and we will go ahead and start the program. Thank you.
Clyde Red Spillers Jr. served with the Hanahan Fire Department, Lake City Fire Department, and finally as chief of the Williamsburg County Fire Department. He was a certified fire service instructor who logged nearly 3,000 hours of instruction, many classes taught without compensation. Chief Spillers worked with others in the early days of the Fire Academy to develop training courses throughout the state. The fire service was Chief Spillers' extended family, and would be so pleased to know this award is given annually to a fire service instructor who best exemplifies the qualities that he always strived to achieve.
Chief Billy Floyd, whether he's teaching or whether he's helping us in curriculum, he is always about the fire service. It's never about himself and getting any kind of credit for what he does, but it's always about what he can do for his fellow firefighters in the state and trying to improve things for them and make things better. And he just has a really great understanding of how to do that. He's been teaching for the Academy for over 10 years. He teaches everything from firefighter to fire officer. He even does evaluations for our fire investigation class. He has always been willing to help the curriculum side in anything that we do, and he developed our orientation for new online instructors. He did that as well. He has a very good understanding of what it takes to teach online, so that would be our hybrid classes in the past. But in June of 2020, he accepted the challenge to do I-300 and I-400 online live through our Blackboard elements. So, but we had never did anything like that before, where we did live classes online. We do 4 nights, 4 hours at a time instead of 2 8-hour days for those 16-hour courses. He was so successful with the I-300 and I-400 that we actually added PICO, STICO, DOMINCO, and then at his request, we added the Incident Safety Officer. He now does 2 classes a month. He has a couple of instructors that help him. And they always fill up. He has students from all over the state that take those classes, and he's just done a really great job. But like I said, in addition to that kind of made him stand out, but he's always willing to help us however he can.
We are very proud of Chief Floyd. He represents our department on a state level. He's a great instructor for our department, and he has really brought our department forward with his teaching ability. And because of how he has kept up with current training tactics and how he's kept up with current training trends, we feel like we're one of the best trained departments in the state, and it's kind of proven with the award he's receiving.
He's a great friend. He's there if you need him to back up. If anything goes wrong, he's there to call. He's at a moment's notice, he'll drop what he's doing help anybody you can.
What a phenomenal man he is. Not only his teaching ability, but more importantly his caring for us firefighters here in South Carolina. He does an amazing job instructing, but even a better job being a brother in the fire service.
Your 2022 Educator of the Year is Chief Billy Floyd of the North Myrtle Beach Fire Department.
For nearly 20 years, dating back to the 30s and beyond. He was a wise counsel during those years of significant growth for this Firefighters Association. Mr. Murphy inspired and proposed that an award be given each year, recognizing a firefighter for outstanding achievement, and even contributed money for the first award. To properly recognize Mr. Murphy for his dedication and hard work, the association decided to name the award in his honor. The Murphy Award is given annually to the one individual who best exemplifies the character of a firefighter and who has an outstanding record of fire service achievements.
The Charleston Fire Department, when we had the Sofa Superstore fire, it was an eye-opening experience, to lose 9 members of your fire department, and we had so many agencies come in and really review how we operated. Basically, everything in the Charleston Fire Department changed, from leadership to tactics to SOPs to equipment to staffing. Everything that you could think of that a fire department provides and operates with basically changed, and change was fairly quick. At the end of the day, you can't expect to lose 9 firefighters and not have change.
Well, obviously there was the events of the Sofa Superstore, and then we spent a year of trying to find our way, and then Chief Carr arrived. And I would say it was almost, growing up on the coast, what the eye of a hurricane is. When there's all of a sudden you go from pure chaos in 1 minute to a calming effect, and that with his demeanor and his experience and just the way he carried himself, you knew it was going to be okay. And we immediately went from not necessarily floundering, but he gave us a direction.
If you think about what he did for the Charleston Fire Department, and not only for Charleston but the surrounding areas, he created automatic aid for Charleston in the Charleston region. Before, every fire department had mutual aid. But now with Chief Carr here, he was able to take Charleston, North Charleston, St. Andrews, James Island, and the St. John's Fire Department and create an automatic aid package to where, regardless of where the emergency is, whether it be a fire or a medical emergency or any kind of emergency, the closest fire units would respond to that emergency regardless of what the name on the side of the fire apparatus says or what the turnout gear of the firefighters would be wearing. Because at the end of the day, Chief Carr's philosophy was, regardless of where the emergency is, the closest fire units needed to be responding to that emergency.
Well, as an outside agency, we were very fortunate to work with Chief Carr and the Charleston Fire Department. We were there before the fire, and we had friends and relationships with Charleston, but it was just that, relationships and friends, not necessarily response partners. After the fire, we were there in support of the Charleston Fire Department, and when Tom Carr came in, the relationships just exploded, and our work went from being response neighbors to truly response partners. His vision and his understanding of how to get things done and break down walls and barriers was very important. And all of our fire chiefs were willing and able. We just needed that catalyst to make that change, and having Tom come in and really with his demeanor and his understanding and what he had done in Montgomery County bridging volunteers and career together, really worked magic for the Charleston area and took it from being individual departments to 5 really response agencies that we kind of coined the 5 families. And that's truly what we became over his time there and beyond.
Charleston had been completely siloed, and we did our own thing. We would pass a neighboring jurisdiction to go. And he first of all, he taught us that we're part of a bigger picture. And then he built those relationships with every other fire chief. So not only did we rebirth the Charleston Fire Department, and I'll say one of the things from when the Sofa Superstore happened until 2010, the only thing that 2011, 2012, even today, the only thing that's really the same in Charleston is the name on the side of the door of the apparatus. It's a complete change in not only operational tempo, but organizational structure and the vision. But he, Chief Carr, had the remarkable ability, almost the corporate mindset of, while Charleston is rebuilding, we need to look at the region. We need a consolidated dispatch center. Every fire department should be able to do the same thing. And it was telling early on. He wanted to pick on me, or he saw something in me. And one of my first tasks was developing a GOG for fireground operations. And in our first meeting, it was not, this is for Charleston, but you need to build something that everybody can use, because we're safer when we play together. And Charleston is not an island. And he had that mindset. If he was anything, his ability to see vision and his ability to bring people together, it was not just limited to Charleston. It was the fire service as a whole in that region. I remember the night he passed away and going to his house. And it felt as I'd lost my grandfather. It truly did. And the effects that he had, there's probably a very few times in life where the right person falls into a situation. And if there ever was a time, it was when Tom Carr came to Charleston after the Sofa Superstore. Yeah, I've been through a lot of tragedies. Obviously the Sofa Superstore is number 1. And in my time in Charleston, the second greatest tragedy is him only being there for 5 years. As sad as it was to be there with him and see that progression and how the disease overcome, I can remember where I was whenever I talked to him that morning a little bit, and then I got the email from him that he was retiring. We were actually in Holly Hill. He had sent us to help Orangeburg County on a call, and just that feeling of, it was basically like a divorce. It was a death, just knowing he was leaving the fire service, and then being close enough to the family to go there the night that he passed away at his home, and having the honor of Chief Tippett and I of getting him ready to move to the nursing home, and then helping plan with the funeral. It's probably one of the greatest honors that I'll ever have in my life.
You always think about Firefighter of the Year, and we've always struggled, what is a Firefighter of the Year? And that heroic moment always stands out in most people's minds. But I thought about Firefighter of the Year as a living legacy. What did that person do that's lived on longer than them and longer than our careers that we're serving now? And what Tom Carr did for not only the Charleston region, it bled over into the state and into the nation. Chief Davis has taught, and when we meet now, a lot of the things we talk about is, when we were in Charleston, when Tom and I were together in the office talking, this is kind of how we came to this decision. And it's bled over to the Lexington County Fire Service. And me being an outsider, coming from North Charleston and working in that mindset, we were able to take some of the visions that Chief Carr had planted in Charleston and bring it to the Lexington County Fire Service and the Lexington region, and it's blossomed and bloomed.
Your 2022 Firefighter of the Year recipient is Tom Carr, former Chief of the City of Charleston Fire Department.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the association for this recognition. Tom would be so pleased that you all felt that he was worthy of this honor. He was excited when he was able to come to Charleston and work with the men with Charleston Fire Department and beyond. He always felt very strongly that as a chief and as a firefighter, there were about 4 things that he wanted to make sure he always did. First one was to listen and learn. The second one was to apply that lesson. The third was to share that lesson beyond his own company. And the fourth was to recognize leadership in others, that even if he was the chief, there were a lot of other people that had that strong ability to lead and to encourage that and to share that. And I feel like this represents those things that he was so proud of. So thank you very much. Be safe out there.
The South Carolina Firefighters Hall of Fame Award recognizes members which are known as trailblazers and are outstanding for their contributions to South Carolina's fire service. Ensuring the legacy of these individuals is important in preserving the association's and the state's history. Those who receive the honor have left a clear mark on the state's fire service and are recognizable by their peers at the state or regional level for their commitment and contributions. These persons have contributed endless hours, ideas, and implementations, and some ultimately their lives, in making South Carolina a better place to live. Individuals who receive the Hall of Fame Award are inducted into the South Carolina State Firefighters Association's Hall of Fame.
One of this year's Hall of Fame inductees is Deputy Chief Richie Fanning, formerly of the Fire Department of New York. Richie first came to South Carolina in 1973 after he and I had a chance encounter when I was buffing with the New York Fire Department. In 1973, Richie was invited to come down to our old fire academy and teach a ladder company operations class. But in 1974, when the association's conference was held in Beaufort, he was invited to be the guest speaker. And he spoke for about 45 minutes and sat down. Some other business was taken care of. But they invited him to come back up and tell even more about his experiences with the New York Fire Department. So he became a regular, and people fell in love with him. And after his speech at the conference in Beaufort in '74, the delegates assembled there voted unanimously to honor him with honorary membership into our association. In 1989, when Hurricane Hugo hit, Richie took his vacation and came down and helped our fire department in Clarendon County, as well as a number of fire departments in the state. And then when 9/11 occurred, Richie was called out of retirement. He retired in 1999, and he served as a liaison when South Carolina raised nearly $1 million to go to the families of those who died in the fire department. And then in 2007, at the Sofa Superstore fire, we reached out to him to come down and serve as liaison, so to speak, with the group from New York who was coming down. So again, he took his vacation and came down and worked in the command post. And over the years, Richie has endeared himself. His family moved to Pawleys Island a few years ago, and of course, we all know Michael Fanning because he is one of the lead groups in the New York Shields Pipe and Drums that play for us annually. 2004, Richie and his wife, on behalf of the New York Fire Department, gave us what we call the Fanning Bible. And it's used every year during our transfer of command, where each president signs their names. So the Fanning Bible has become a key component of our association. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Deputy Chief Richie Fanning. Unfortunately, he passed away in January of this year, but his memory will live forever with us, and I'm glad for us to give him this tribute and honor.
My family knows I'm the crier, so I'll pull it together. I'm so moved to accept this on behalf of my father, and I say that as my honor. But what he would want you to know is you have chosen a profession of honor. Other people might have jobs that make more money and receive more glory. But there's nothing more glorious and honorable than the line of work that you do. Carry that with you. Take care of one another. Carry that brotherhood bond, because there's nothing higher than that. And we thank you all for your service. Thank you.
My relationship with Chief McNeil goes back many years to our day in high school. I can remember the stories that he would tell from the calls that they ran the night before, the day before, the week before. His commitment to the Campobello Fire Service does not go unrecognized. He has turned that from a small-time fire department to a good fire department that his community is very proud of. He has 2 sons, and they have been by his side since childhood, and they carry that vision on to this day. Chief McNeil served his community for 44 years, 25 of those years as fire chief. The citizens of the Campobello Fire Department are better served from the vision of Chief McNeil. Your 2022 Hall of Fame Award goes to Chief William Edward McNeil of the Campobello Fire Department.
"45 years in the fire service, 25 as a fire chief. His accomplishments have been immeasurable. I could sit up here all night and talk about everything that he's done or everything that he's built for our town and for our fire department, but all you have to do is ride to Campobello and mention his name. Chief, leader, coach, teacher, father, and hero. Some of the things that I can use to describe Chief William E. McNeil. Mama, thank you very much for sharing him. Thank y'all very much for everything that y'all have given to our family.
I was very proud to nominate John L. Melton III for the South Carolina Firefighters Hall of Fame. John L. was a fireman's fireman. He started out very early in his life going to fires with his grandfather and father, who were both firemen with the Shaw Fire Department. Later became a member of the fire department and a member of the local rescue squad, where he moved up through the ranks from firefighter to lieutenant, became the training officer for the Shaw Fire Department. Went on up to captain and finally as chief, and served as chief of the department for quite a few years. John L. was also an instructor with the South Carolina Fire Academy, taught many years through Marlboro, Chesterfield, Darlington County, and throughout the state as an instructor for the Fire Academy. Retired from the Shaw Fire Department. His firefighting career did not end there. He stayed on as a volunteer, but he also changed jobs and became the instructor for the Shaw High School CAPE program, where the firefighter program at the Shaw High School. Teaching has always been a passion for him, as obviously as being an instructor with the Fire Academy, but also wanted to pursue that and teach young children the craft and try to encourage them to become firefighters. A little off from the fire department, he's also very active in his church. He taught youth at his church and then became a pastor in one of the churches local to the Shaw area. Extensive lifelong career as a firefighter, being an instructor, teaching the fire department, teaching young children the craft of being a firefighter, and most importantly, teaching young firefighters how to safely become old firefighters is the reason for our nomination for John L. to the Firefighters Hall of Fame. Your 2022 Hall of Fame inductee, John L. Melton III, retired Chief, Shaw Fire Department. Mary Lynn has asked me just to express her thank you for bestowing this honor to John L. He was truly, the ones who knew him, truly a firefighter's brother. He was a father, grandfather to not only his children, extended children, but to members of his church and members of our fire department and to the state of South Carolina as a whole. Once again, thank you for his induction to the Hall of Fame. It was definitely deserved. Thank you.
So Brian Mixon joined as a volunteer October 2006, and again, as we've reiterated today, even in the memorial service, he was a dedicated young man, and that passion just raged like a ball of fire toward his commitment to the service of community. And then in 2008, he actually came on board as a career firefighter EMT. He was a mentor, a leader, a remarkable young man that a lot of people started to look up to, and we sincerely, truly miss him in our station. He was always smiling, very polite, pleasant, and he exemplified community service, and he did so even more upon his passing when he donated his organs so that others may live and continue on a journey that gave him another chance at life. Your 2022 inductee into the Firefighters Hall of Fame is Brian Stephen Mixon with Jasper County Fire Rescue.
It's my absolute pleasure today to be able to introduce our immediate past president, Chief Keith Minnick from the Newberry Fire Department, into this year's Hall of Fame. President Minnick came into our association at a time of change when our executive directors were swapping roles and served one of the longest terms of presidents that we've had in our association's history. Immediately after taking office, the COVID pandemic came through our state as it did the rest of the country, and he led our association and our fire service through some very different times that we've never experienced before, and we're grateful for that. One of the greatest things that I had the opportunity to watch Keith do as president through his year and a half of service here was to make a commitment to go out and visit the members across the state. We took countless miles in the car, riding around visiting and truly getting to hear from the members and learn from them. And I applaud Keith for that and would encourage any president to do the same during their term. So to President Keith Minnick, my friend, congratulations on your induction into the Hall of Fame.
Rick, I just want to do another video. I got it. I just want to thank my family and the members for allowing me to serve. It's been an honor and a privilege, a lot of good friends, a lot of good camaraderie, best job in the world. And I encourage everybody to step up and be a part of this association. You won't regret it. Thank you.
Thinking about the Hall of Fame for this year, Tracy Williams exemplifies what I feel like is a great person to receive the Hall of Fame award. Gosh, I really feel like Tracy is a great inductee into the South Carolina Firefighters Hall of Fame. Tracy took a vision, has been talked about many times, of a cancer policy. Due to Tracy's personal experience with cancer, brought that vision to the table, brought the key players to the table, and was able to lead that group of individuals to what we know now as the South Carolina Firefighter Cancer Policy. I feel like Tracy was that leader and that director to bring those key individuals together.
I agree with you totally. I think that the fact that he's been in the fire service for over 30 years, and as you said, a cancer survivor himself, the fact that he saw the need and helped to bring that coalition together, and the drive that we see from him, and now everything's in place, but to see him take the next step at delivering training materials, helping to support other agencies to bring that training to them, and being an advocate for cancer prevention in our state is key. And I think that's why he's a shoo-in for the inductee into the Hall of Fame.
I agree. As chairman of the South Carolina Firefighter Association Health and Safety Committee, he has took it to heart, and he has really taken it personally and just been a great leader in leading that committee and leading that cancer coalition. And like you said, now we have the South Carolina Firefighter Cancer Policy. It's in place. It benefits every member of the state if they were to be diagnosed with cancer, which we hope none do, but hopefully that this policy will help protect them. And a lot of that I put on the heels of Tracy having that vision many years ago and bringing that group of people together.
I totally agree.
Your 2022 Hall of Fame inductee, Tracy Williams.
I certainly appreciate this. I had no idea this was coming down the pike, and you know, this needs to go to my family. My family's the ones that have to put up with me coming to meetings and leaving for weekends and whatnot. So they're first in deserving this, not me. Secondly, it's not me, it's the 17,000 plus members that we have to do for, you know. Like Chief said just a few minutes ago, get involved, do something, and I'll leave you with this: leave it better than the way you found it. Thank you.
I just want to kind of take the time just to speak on Jack Bill, who's a man that I greatly respect, and I just think that he's such an awesome person. You know, Jack Bill's been in the fire service for over 43 years, and since 1997 he served in the Columbia Fire Department. And just throughout his career, and I'm quite sure that if any of you know Jack Bill, you probably was in one of his classes, because he taught a lot of firefighters across the state. And he was just he was just a blessing to us in the Columbia Fire Department. You know, I can remember, you know, sometimes we had the recruit class getting ready to start, and Jack, everybody would say their piece, but then this big strong voice come up, and it's Jack Bill. No nonsense, straight to the point, telling everybody what they need to do. But you know what, he was a gentle giant, because he the man that gives you the shirt off his back. So I am so delighted that the association is recognizing him with this awesome award, you know, to induct him in the Hall of Fame. So it gives me not only pleasure, but it's my honor to present to you the 2022 Hall of Fame inductee, Captain Jack Bill from the Columbia Fire Department.
I'd just like to thank everybody for being inducted with all these great men in the Firefighters Association for inducting me into this deal. But I'd like to thank Columbia for the years that I served there, with the most awesome years of my entire career. But most of all, I got to thank God for putting me in this business 43 years ago. Now going on 44. I'm still working for the South Carolina Fire Academy, evaluating classes now. I'm not working with the Columbia Fire Department anymore, retired last year, but it's the best 24 years I spent in my career with them. Thank you.
Saving lives and property. It's what firefighters do. But there are those times, and we all know it, and that's when the fire service has to go above and beyond. The Meritorious Action Award is intended to recognize firefighters and/or fire departments which have rendered services beyond the ordinary course of duty in an attempt to save life, regardless of the success of the action. Recipients of this award are recognized because they reflect the vigilance and professionalism of firefighters across the state.
It happens all the time. I mean, in the blink of an eye, things change. We were toned out for a house fire. Shortly thereafter, one of our volunteers arrived on scene and he confirmed it was a working house fire. Cars in the driveway, which led us to believe that at least there was a high probability there was someone inside.
Pulled out of my neighborhood, took a right, seen a big black column of smoke. And then once I pulled on scene, you know, it was pretty hectic because there were a lot of people in the yard, but there were a lot of cars that were blocking the road, taking videos. There were a lot of people in the yard throwing rocks in the window. At that time, I was trying to control them while letting other units know what I had. But they kept yelling that there was somebody in the house. So when the first truck arrived, which was the rescue, and then the engine, I relayed to them where their hydrant was. The battalion chief, Yard Chuck, arrived right after that. I was kind of giving him a rundown, and he took command and gave me another assignment.
The conditions wasn't really that bad. On one side, we had some visibility, but on another side, it was really dark. So we did an adequate search, and we were able to locate the victims fairly quickly. We weren't expecting to have victims inside. It was around 6, 7 o'clock in the evening.
And at the time, we were getting conflicting information as far as how many people may or may not be in the home, bystanders and people that want to know, they want to make sure their friends are okay, and so it becomes a very chaotic scene.
It came across the radio that we had a victim that was coming out of the Alpha Delta corner window, and I seen them handing a child out the window, but there was no one there. So I immediately took off, went over there, grabbed the child, relayed to command that, I had, a 3 to 5 year old infant. I was going to the corner of North Pines and Penelope to begin resuscitation. So we began CPR. I started CPR. My volunteer grabbed the oxygen mask, began to give positive pressure, ventilation to the infant. At that time, I come across the radio that there was a second victim, that they needed assistance, and so there was other crews that went over and assisted getting her out of the window. The roughest part was the family that was yelling and cursing us because we were trying to do everything we could, but they wouldn't give us the room. So, but our guys stood strong, stayed professional. We continued our resuscitation processes. We did get back a pulse with the mother. The child we continued to work on. And then we turned them over to EMS.
But it was definitely a difficult situation. We deal with a lot of terrible calls, but anytime there is victims involved, and especially children, it's definitely hard. But through our training, we remain focused to continue to do the job and to give people the best chance that we can do.
Being proud of my crew is something that I've had good crews throughout the entire battalion. And it's not unlike any of the crews throughout the entire department. These guys just happen to be mine. And that day they were called into service, and without any hesitation, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. We have SOGs for a reason, and without even thinking about it, the engineer that was in the move-up captain position on Rescue 3 that day fell right into line with what he was supposed to do without a second thought. I've spoken with him since then, and he doesn't even realize that some of the things that he did. So I attribute that to the training and to the fact that they take the job seriously and want to provide the service to the community that they said they would.
The good thing about Columbia and its dual department between volunteers and career is that the volunteers are able to make a camaraderie with the careers. And so, being an officer on the volunteer side and working with those guys, I teach my guys to listen to the radio all the time. Listen to how they talk, listen to how they respond, listen to how they size up, because you can picture their actions as they're working. And Columbia does a good job in trying to install that into its volunteers. So the career works well with the volunteer. I could say it's instinct, but it's not instinct. It's just, you can't describe it, honestly. I mean, it's just something that, you don't look for rewards. It's just, if the grass needs to be cut, you go cut it. If the clothes need to be washed, you wash them. So if somebody needs your help, you go and you don't think about the steps to get there. It's just natural flow.
And let's keep in mind, this wasn't just career, this was career and volunteer. They train together, they work real good together. And there's, it's not a difference between a paid and a career, because all of my firefighters, and like I say, they work good together. and all of them had their part in this rescue and the recovery. Your 2022 Meritorious Award winners are the crews and volunteers of the third shift.
The tones went off for a swift water call, and being on rescue probably 15 years, it's just a normal water rescue call where we usually find them on the river, on an island, or on a rock. Nothing really special. We've done it 100 times. You know, you either go wade out to them and get them, or we take a boat and get them.
When Engine 6 got on scene on the opposite side, and kind of the size up that Captain Colvin gave, kind of made red flags start going off in my head, but it really wasn't until I got on the scene on the other side that I really figured out that we had a unique incident. I realized that it was something that was incredibly high risk, low frequency, you know, with it being on a low head dam, rough terrain, swift water, foot and ankle entrapment. You know, it's obvious you've got a live patient, a kid there. It's one of those incidents where you knew that you had to throw everything, every piece of knowledge, every skill, every resource that you could think of at it. And that's what we ended up doing with it.
Captain Yancey was on 6 at the time. He's first due at that part of the river we were at, and he made contact with the patient, and he said it was an ankle entrapment, which is a little bit higher skill level. And then once he got into it really looking, it turned out to be more than an ankle injury. It was almost a whole leg injury or entrapment. That's just out of the ballpark. Like, I've never even heard of that or anybody ever, you know, surviving it. We realized that it was a 12-year-old kid. He was stuck, and it wasn't just a normal, you know, leg stuck in a rock, but it was twisted around a stump. It was pinned back behind another rock, and so it wasn't just an easy lift up.
The water was beating up against the kid's back for a period of time. They said he'd already been in the water for probably maybe 30 minutes prior to our arrival. And then he started fading. He's like, I can't do it, I can't do it. So I jumped in the water, ended up making a brace behind him, kind of like a bigger dam, and pretty much just getting up under his arms and holding back on him, letting the water beat me, and then make a little cave for him to be able to sit up and, you know, get some slack off. Doing that, I didn't know I was going to be in that position for a little over an hour.
The only real way to tell how he was myself and Mr. Marker. We had to go underwater, hold our breath, hold on to a log and pull yourself down, because we're in a flotation device as well, and just kind of feel our way around. So I finally found a board that was wedged up between the rock and himself, which was full of nails. I went back down again, pulled that out. I broke a piece of a tree away, and we pulled that out, hoping that would give us a little bit of relief.
So the first objective for Campbell and myself was kind of take turns. We had to kind of submerge a little bit to get down in there. And then Campbell was able to break a couple chunks of wood 2x8, 2x6, full of nails. Got that out, which is kind of a bad sign. We were like, this isn't good. Got another wooden spike out of there. And when I reached in the next time, I was able to feel the kid's leg. And it was actually wrapped around a chunk of a tree. Kind of like a tree top, not really a branch, but it had wedged down in. And the way his leg was wrapped was not normal. It went kind of around, and then his foot was kind of bent backwards and up.
One of the officers made a great call of getting as many people there as possible. We ended up calling like 3 additional units, just swiftwater units, just to get people, bodies in the river, people to block and divert that water above him, which was a tremendous help. Like just that situation and that tactic alone definitely helped with him not drowning.
We tried to get some people behind him and pull up on him, and he would just start screaming in excruciating pain. Like we could not move him at all. In fact, one time when I came up, he actually punched me in the face.
Somehow I was able to break that tree limb top away, and that freed his ankle, his calf, and his shin to kind of go back into regular orientation.
And honestly, I'm on the phone with Dr. Robinson, our medical control doctor, and he was telling me that the trauma surgeon, is up on the hill with the equipment he needed, and I'm like, this isn't what we want to do, but we don't have any other options. So the guys were like, one more time, and they're exhausted. They gave 110%, for 2 hours. They're just physically exhausted. You can see it on their faces.
Shoved a piece of webbing up underneath him in between his legs, and we got a pike pole off of one of the fire trucks, put it in between his PFD and that piece of webbing, and 4 of us got on both sides of him, and on the count of 3, we snatched up on him, and when we did, you could hear like this huge suction noise. With a lot of great minds and people with some experience, we were able to give him an outcome that was beneficial for everybody.
I think he had a birthday the next day. We got in touch with, he was a Clemson fan, with Coach Sweeney, and he made a video for him, so it was really touching. We had a birthday party, get together at 6, so it was really touching for everybody. But all the credit goes to the guys that were really in the water working, because they gave 110% for 2 hours. These guys were just incredible, and that wasn't just my truck, but it was all the trucks that gave the effort that they gave.
I was simply amazed at how well they performed down there, and the stunts they had to pull in order to rescue that child out of there. And so my hats are off to them for the phenomenal job they did, and we just really appreciate their effort and what they did out there. And it's just an honor to recognize them. So your 2022 Meritorious Action Award winners are the personnel from first shift at the Columbia Fire Department. Congratulations, job well done.
Greenville City 911, what's the emergency?
We were in the kitchen, I'm doing some training, talking about vacant buildings and stuff like that, actually, and then hanging out at the kitchen table when it came in.
And got a report of smoke, possible fire in the area of the intersection down here off Hudson Street.
I'm at Southern Side Brewery and I see a shed or like a mobile home on fire.
Everybody drops what they're doing. We're getting to the trucks as quick as we can. We're getting dressed out and we're getting on the trucks, heading to the scene.
Right next to it, the building's burning.
When the call came in and we knew where we were going, we've been there before on medical calls, so the guys had an idea already what the layout was like from going on those medical calls.
And my role on that day was to stretch the line from the truck to the front door and be on fire attack with my lieutenant.
It definitely looks like it's on fire, smoking really bad.
There's just a lot of smoke, and we went in through the front door, and there were some little bits of fire on the floor, and as we were putting those out, then some of the ceiling tiles started to come down, and then you could really see where the bulk of the fire was, which was in the ceiling above us. What goes through the radio is just that you found a victim, and what goes on when you find them is get them out as fast as you can. Sometimes the way you come in isn't the quickest way to get them out.
You know, unfortunately, things happen and we can't help things, but what those guys did, being able to pull them out and, you know, find them first of all, and then pull them out, and what EMS and PD and what our guys did, you know, Engine 3 and Engine 4 working, you know, compressions in the backyard. You know, what those guys did was, you know, nothing short of heroic. So that's what we want to push, is no matter what, is we're gonna ensure the safety of everybody.
You know, we're an all-hazard approach fire department, and most of the fire service is changing that way. Again, you know, we're all seeing the decline of fires across the country, but when we have fires, you know, what we're here for, we have to make sure we're prepared for it.
We're here to work. You know, everybody had a job to do. Everybody knew their job, and everybody had the training to do their job, and everybody took pride in their job.
And just knowing that and being able to help people in their crisis, that makes it worth it. And yeah, that keeps me motivated to push myself to do the best that I can.
2022 Meritorious Action Award recipients are Engine 2, Quint 2, Engine 3, and Rescue 4 off B Platoon, the City of Rainbow Fire Department.
On December 23rd, sometime in the morning, Irma Fire was dispatched to an apartment fire. And of course, all Irma Fire units responded. And I was the first arriving on scene, completed the 360, and on the Bravo side, I had people literally hanging from their fingertips out of the window, made it around to the Delta, and we had already had an occupant jump, and unbeknownst to us, she had already kind of thrown out her 2 babies before our arrival. Had heavy fire, this particular apartment complex, to be able to get out, it's kind of, all the exits are in the middle, and it was making it to where no one was able to get out. So of course, as soon as our guys got on scene, they went to work, started throwing ladders, VES to every window that they were able to, and in the end, they were able to remove 12 occupants.
Probationary firefighter Crawl, he grabbed a 2.5-inch hose line and stretched it around the Bravo side of the structure to the Charlie side of the structure. As we were coming around that Bravo side, we had people hanging out of the 2nd story and 3rd story windows. I yelled to the ladder crew who was pulling up behind us to grab the 28-foot ladder because they were going to need it to reach that 3rd story. As water was coming in the line, I could hear screams coming from an apartment on the 1st floor, that bottom level. And I went inside to that bottom apartment. I saw there was 2, probably about 4 to 5-year-old children sitting on the ground crying, and I could hear Mom in the back screaming. She was trying to get 2 of her older kids that were in there. I picked up the 2 4-year-olds, held one in each arm, and I told Mom to, let's go, we gotta get out of here. Firefighter crawl kept the fire from looking down on us as we were coming out of that room.
We were assigned to ladder 175. We were the first arriving ladder truck right behind engine 171. Firefighter Powell threw a 16-foot ladder to the 2nd floor and got a family out of that window and down, handing off children to myself, and thrown a 28-foot ladder up to the 3rd, where I ascended and got 1 occupant down, escorted him down the ladder, and then Firefighter Adams went up and got the remainder. While we were doing that, Firefighter Silva had gone around to the Charlie and Delta side, where he found the occupant that had jumped from the 3rd floor. Having reports of other people trapped on the 3rd floor, bypassed that occupant and through a ladder prevent enter search operation. Came around and got me. We teamed up and did a enter search into the 2nd floor. And cleared that, made our way up to the 3rd floor, encountering heavy fire conditions on both the 2nd and 3rd floor.
We had a pretty substantial amount of fire showing on that side from the breezeway towards the 2nd Division. As we deployed the line and charged it, we applied water to the fire, and our chief came running around from side Delta, asked for assistance with someone that had just jumped out the window. So myself and Paparella came around to the Delta side there and helped the lady that had jumped from the window there.
At the time, I was the driver of engine 171. We were the first to engine on that fire. A little chaotic scene. There were people all over the place. Our 1st 2 Battalion said he had people in the rear that were jumping.
We expect victims at every fire we go to. This one we had a lot more than just 1 or 2. It was almost packed. The fire in the breezeway, having started on that Charlie side, I believe, from fireworks, trapped everybody in their units.
It was definitely not a routine call. We train for stuff like this, but normally, we'll have apartment fires, but not to the extent of where we had the magnitude of people that were still there trying to escape.
No, I just want to say how proud I am of the entire fire department. These guys train hard year-round. We have one of many apartment complexes here, and we know the threat is out there and the danger of that, and this one caught a lot of people off guard that live there, and fortunately these guys put all their training together, worked flawlessly. It was really proud to see all 3 of those companies working side by side and being able to pull that off. Your 2022 Meritorious Action Award goes to Irmo Fire District's Engine 171, Engine 172, and Ladder 175 C-Shift Company.
Pickens County is built up with a conglomeration, I guess, or a combination of, we've got a combination departments. We have all volunteer departments. So the mutual aid, the box alarm system has really assisted us with getting additional manpower on the scene. A lot of your stations, we still have 1-man stations. In Pickens County, we're converting to a county-wide system. So we have automatic aid departments, and everybody runs automatic mutual aid.
Yeah, we have 3 stations, 2 in the rural district and 1 in the city, and we have 1 person per station. Roughly 800 calls a year, 800 to maybe 900. Normal day that day, we actually got a call in on the regular land line that there was a possible house fire on Pickens Drive. This was before our tones were activated. I was the first one there. When I pulled into the driveway, I observed heavy smoke and flames and the possibility of someone being trapped. Two guys were screaming at me to come help them. There's a lady here, we can't get out. So I was able to hop up on the air conditioning unit and seen where she was right at the window. Her head was actually kind of out of the window, just ever so slightly. And just looking at her, she wasn't a very big lady. I mean, she was kind of on the smaller side, and I thought, well, this shouldn't be no problem. And I went to pull her out and realized that she was stuck. I tried 3 times and could not get her out. I turned around to try to figure out somebody to help me, and that's when Jonathan Bryant pulled up. You know, I got on the radio and said, could you come over and help me?
And I seen Chief Rowland attempting to make a rescue of a lady that was halfway out of the window of the house. The house was engulfed in flames. I mean, it was burning. You know, I went in and I tried to help him. I went over there to him and asked him what he needed.
When we initially started trying to pull her out, it was light smoke in the room she was in. However, the room next to us, like 10 or 12 feet down, had heavy smoke and flames shooting out of the window. And I could feel the heat off of it.
I jumped up on top of an air conditioning unit and kind of went halfway in the building and helped grab her, you know, get her free and pull her out, and we got her out and set her down and took her right to EMS. So EMS were arriving on scene as we were pulling her out. After that, we went back to fire operations because the fire was growing. It was a huge fire, you know, run aid with and stuff. They showed up, and then we ended up putting the fire out. The lady, we took her to medical attention. They ended up flying her to Augusta. From my understanding, she's alive and well today, and she's doing good.
Some credit to the 2 guys that were there before I got there. They got her to the window. They just couldn't get her out.
Both these gentlemen have been part of the Pickens County Fire Service for quite some time. They both have a proven track record as leaders, and I'm not very surprised of the actions that they took that day. Of course, anybody that gets into this line of work, fire, EMS, or law enforcement, gets involved to be a help and to make a difference in people's lives. So I'm not at all surprised by what they did that day. Everybody gets involved in this to make a difference, and of course, had they not stayed the course, stayed focused on the task at hand, I think this would have had a much more tragic outcome. So for this lady, they made a difference. Your 2022 Meritorious Action Award recipients are Lieutenant Jonathan Bryant and Chief Chris Rowland of the Liberty Area Fire Department.
This particular call, we had three main departments responding. I was responding as a administrative command position, but had it not been for Chief Rowland and Lieutenant Jonathan Bryant's quick actions once they arrived on scene to remove her, the outcome of this call would have been gravely different. So, the award is for Lieutenant Chris Rowland for Liberty Fire District and Lieutenant Jonathan Bryant for the Liberty Fire District. They're both out of town. I offered to actually take their place. One's in Destin, Florida, and the other's in Hawaii. So, but they didn't take me up on that offer. So.
How exciting. He doesn't know I'm going to say this. Will came up to him beforehand and told me, he said, I know you don't want to give the keys up tonight, and sometimes it's hard to get the keys up. He said, but just don't worry about it because they'll take them from you anyway. So, Will, they're going to take them. How excited tonight has been. We have honored some amazing members tonight for their accomplishments. I know we say all the time as firefighters, we're just doing our job. It's just what we do. Well, I agree, it is what we do. But the men and women tonight, they were honored, did a heck of a job, and I want to congratulate them for that. South Carolina has some very talented and dedicated firefighters. We also, tonight, honored some individuals that dedicated their whole career to the fire service. One of these gentlemen is Keith Minnick. Keith, we've been a lot of places, had a lot of fun the past 6 years. Serving with you on this board, you brought this association through some very, very tough times. Thank you for your friendship, and thank you for your leadership. Another gentleman that we spent a long time with is Charlie King, and Charlie's somewhere in here. I think is he hiding in the back? If he wasn't hiding in the back, I'd ask him to stand, but please give Charlie a round of applause. Charlie was our executive director for 2 years, and now he decided he wanted to go back to the firehouse and be a fireman and run calls, and I think he says he's having a ball. Come on out, Charlie. Charlie will still be doing a lot of work for the association, and I just really want to tell him thank you for his leadership during that time as executive director. I've learned through the years as president of this association that the president gets to be the face of the association, but your association has an amazing staff that works day in and day out for each of you. The staff's in this room tonight, and they would kill me if I made them stand, so I won't do that. Your exec committee works tirelessly. One of the amazing things, and I know the presidents in the room have seen this, when you sit at the long table in association office, it's kind of at awe to see the so many different things. That table's full, there's people sitting to the side, and when they give their reports about the amazing things they're doing, they do it not for pay, they do it because they love their career. I want to thank the exec committee for your dedication and also your loyalty to your department, and also for what you do at home every day. You do it for the state, but you also do it at home. You and staff make being president enjoyable and easy. We're back at the beach. I hope you have had a great week. I know I have. We've enjoyed some amazing speakers, great classroom training, a new design vendor hall, and great networking. I started this journey. The first year I was sworn in as vice president was actually on this stage here at the beach. And my last year to be sworn in as past president is back at the beach. Columbia provided some wonderful conference, wonderful training, wonderful networking, and just a lot of fun when we were in Columbia for those 4 to 5 years. But Myrtle Beach, why Myrtle Beach? We talk a lot about firefighter family. We talk a lot about our family at home. What a way to come to the beach and bring those two families together. Fire rescue on the Grand Strand in Myrtle Beach. Wednesday, we had an amazing fundraiser for the foundation with the golf tournament. They raised probably the most money we've ever raised in a golf tournament. Wednesday night, wow, Lulu's. If you weren't there, you missed it. A wonderful event put on by our insurance company to kind of celebrate being back at the beach. Thank you to Zarina and staff and partners for that wonderful night. Thursday, you heard 2 great speakers in the opening session and then our business meeting. As most of you know, I had the vision when I came in as president that we kind of changed some things. We moved hands-on training instead of being at Myrtle Beach in 98-degree weather and 80 to 90-degree humidity to January in the wintertime. So we can put on more clothes. I always say we can't take off it so much when we're doing our job. So we moved all that hands-on training back to Columbia in the wintertime, and we moved all of our classroom training to the conference here. It was great seeing those dedicated firefighters come to Columbia this past winter and train on acquired structures. Then to see the great classroom training sessions that we had this week, and it was amazing how full those classes were. I hope each of you enjoyed the changes to the vendor hall. All of these vendors under one roof, and seeing if each of you visit and support those vendors. We could not do it without each one of the vendors, whether large or small. This past year has been a roller coaster. We started off the 1st of July with a cancer policy going live that you heard earlier about. We hope we never have to use it, but 38 firefighters, that policy has helped financially throughout this year. Then we went to quarterly meeting with Mark Van Oppen, a wonderful speaker. Then we moved to the wintertime, as I was speaking earlier, to our fire improvement conference. Terry, the Training and Education Committee Chair, you and your staff did an amazing job of taking my vision and making it a reality. Then Legislative Day. What a big success this past year has been on Legislative Day. Your lobbyists and your executive committee are still working as of this week while we were here through the budget process. It looks wonderful. It looks like we're going to be very successful in a lot of things once the budget is passed. Your elected members traveled to Washington to voice concerns during meetings with a lot of congressmen and senators, staff members. We hope to see results from this trip and a lot of good things to come. Then we arrived at Myrtle Beach for this great conference. The past 5 years have been eye-opening for me. I've been able to work along with some great individuals who are dedicated to moving this association forward. I look forward to seeing what this association continues to improve. That brings us to tonight. 10 years ago, I was a gentleman by the name of Carter Jones came to my office at work and said, "Hey, you need to put in for Leadership Institute." So I did. You don't do, if Carter tells you something, you do it. Except for signing contracts, Carter. We don't do that. That's a private joke that most everybody in leadership, the executive board has heard many, many times. During leadership, we were introduced on October of 2012 at a quarterly. And then we went to a meeting there at the Fire Academy of a classroom and met kind of the 11 or 12, I can't remember exactly how many, men and women that we would be spending the next year with. The next month, we came together in Charleston. I met some amazing guys and gals that week. Two of the individuals have become great friends. Last year, I stood on this stage, but actually in Columbia, and Trey Atkinson, or Trace, as I decided I was going to start calling him, joined me to help me, to swear me in. This year, Josh, you'll get to join me on this stage to become the 76th president of this association. Thank you to you both, thank you to you both for your support during this past year, but more importantly, for your friendship. Josh and myself have worked very closely this past year, and I'm confident Josh will continue to move this association forward. Josh is dedicated to his career, and Josh is dedicated to each one of you, and we'll take this association to the next level. In closing, I ask each of you to be all in last year. I must say, you've been all in, and I thank you for the work and dedication and friendship. Erica, thank you. I'm sure that you didn't know that date nights would be on the phone with Josh, and date nights would be on the phone with Joe, and then we would take trips, and you would get to learn all about fire stuff. And the first time she said something, she said, "Are y'all gonna be wearing your costume?" I said, "My costume? What costume?" Then she said, "Well, you know, your get up." And I said, "You mean our turnout gear?" She said, "Yeah, that stuff." You've supported me during this year. To the members, thank you for allowing me to be your 75th president of this great association. It's my honor and privilege to ask my friend and your next president, Josh Alzheimer's, to the stage. Before we go on through the thing, I've kind of got to ad-lib one thing. Keith Minnick, come see me, please, sir. Charlie did a wonderful job earlier of talking about what Keith did this past year, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago when he started. Keith brought us through COVID, If you noticed, if you've seen Keith this week, Keith shaves tonight. He couldn't put his uniform without shaving. We've been giving him a hard time. Keith retired a couple days ago and decided he was going to grow a beard, so it's good to see you, Keith, without your beard tonight. But one of the things we always like to do is we always like to provide the past president with a plaque with their gavel. And just wanted to bring Keith up here and tell you thanks for everything you did. You did some wonderful work for this association. You took us through a pandemic that I don't know that anybody will ever have to, hopefully nobody will ever have to take us through again. You were a wonderful friend, a wonderful leader, and the members were very honored to have you as their president.
You afraid I'm going to read your notes or what?
Exactly.
Now the fun time. It's an opportunity that we've enjoyed through 76 different presidents now and everything, and so it's just a wonderful opportunity for us to explore traditions and what we do to kind of transition from one to next, and this is your opportunity to present him with his gavel.
Hit him with the head with it if you want to. Gosh, use it sparingly, and you know how to use it. You'll be a great president.
Now, read this one and give him his.
Mr. President, we, the grateful members of the South Carolina State Firefighter Association, wish to offer you this, your gavel, as a token of our thanks for the many times you used it well in running an organization, and thank you.
One of the things we do that's official, I mean, if for those that may not be familiar, I mean, you live with a fire person, but just to let you know, when a new commander arrives on the scene, there's a process of transferring command to that next leader, that next organizational person, and we enjoy those same privileges. The helmet that President Cajano is holding has been passed down for a number of years from president to president, and each year, President Holzheimer, you'll get to keep this for a year and pass it on, but this kind of symbolizes that command structure.
In offering you this helmet, which symbolizes the command structure of our great association and our honorable profession, I hereby transfer command and offer my best wishes.
I accept the transfer and congratulate you on a successful and productive tenure as our president and leader.
Your first official duty, sir.
Yes, sir. As you know, this week we had an election that ended, and it's my privilege, first official privilege as president, to welcome Brian Christmas as your fourth vice president of the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I would like to begin by thanking God for leading me to the fire service. It's been a great pleasure to be a member of the fire service, and all my family and friends that have supported me throughout the years. The fire service is not just a career, but a calling. I've been fortunate enough to have been a part of this great profession for over 30 years, and I've loved every minute of it. The brotherhood and sisterhood that this profession has is second to none. Without each of you in this room, South Carolina Fire Service would not be what it is today. I've built friendships and relationships over the past several months that will hopefully last a lifetime. So thanks to each of you that have supported me, encouraged me, and allowed me to come into your firehouse to become a part of your family. I look forward to working with each of you over the next 6 years and pledge to continue moving this association forward. I would also like to give thanks to my city manager, Darren McCormick, the county administrator, Gary Mixon, and my chief, Carl Ford, for allowing me to support me in this endeavor. Thank you.
If I could have down front, please, the vice presidents, past president, and Chief King, who will do the swearing in, please.
Gentlemen, it's an absolute honor to be able to swear each of you into your office for the next year. I'm excited to watch as each of you does what it takes and invest your time to make our fire service a better place. As I read the passage, if you would at the end, just affirm with an I do. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to support the Constitution and bylaws and at all times bear truth allegiance to the goals and purposes of the South Carolina State Firefighters Association? And do you further swear to perform the duties and responsibilities of your office to the best of your ability, so help you God? I do. Congratulations.
It is a privilege of mine tonight to invite my wife, Kimberly, my daughters, Brooke, Jesslyn, Jenna, Emma, and Lily to the stage.
How many times have we, through classes and from this podium this week, heard about family and the importance of family and work family, home family? Well, obviously he's got a pretty, I mean, whatever you want to say. What an attractive group of people. Josh, how did you pull that off? I don't know how that works. But one of the other traditions that we have this evening is because family is so important, we typically will ask family members from the outgoing to pass on words of wisdom, establish a relationship with the incoming. So at this time, I'd like Erica Thompson, if you would please, to come up and share a few words, if you would, with the Holtzheimer family and make your way to the stage. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I can attest, having fulfilled that role myself, these individuals are gone a lot and they work a lot. And as Jamie was saying, the fact that even when you go somewhere with family, the phone's ringing and you're doing things. So thank you both for what you do and what you will continue to do. You heard a few moments ago in one of the videos about this Bible that I'm holding in my hand. And I don't know, there's no way in the world I could say it any better than what Carter said it a few minutes ago. But this is a very special Bible. I made Jamie stop a while ago as he signed it because I have been present for most of the individuals that have signed the front of this Bible. And it's pretty special to me. My name's in it and a whole bunch of other people who have been some incredible fire service leaders. And to the Fanning family, we thank you so much for what this means to us and how this is just part of our operations. It sits about 10 foot from the president every time he smacks the gavel in the office as a reminder that there's a higher power behind us. So we'll use this Bible now to administer the oath of office. Sir, if you would, repeat after me. I, and say your name.
I, Joshua Holtzheimer,
Hereby swear that I will support the Constitution and bylaws and at all times bear true allegiance to the goals and purposes of the South Carolina State Firefighters Association. I further swear to perform the duties and responsibilities of my office to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations, sir. You hold that for me? Don't go yet. We've got a little more work to do. Let's do this one. Yeah. She gets to draw first blood by pinning our new president. One of the things that presidents enjoy, and there's not a lot of these around, Josh, but I proudly wear mine, and that is the president's ring that your wife now puts on your hand. That's pretty good. Fits well. Ladies, thank you for what you did. Appreciate it. It's indeed my pleasure, sir, now to offer you your podium. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm humbled and honored to stand before you tonight as the 76th president of this great association. First, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for not only forgiving me, but for being the best example of a servant leader. Second, I want to thank my family for always loving and supporting me. My wife Kimberly's daughters, Justin, Jenna, Emma, Lily, Brooke, my son-in-law, and that little kid that was running around out front here, Colton, my grandson. My brother Ethan, who was able to leave drill today to be here tonight with us. It's an honor to share this amazing career with you. To my Greer Fire family. Chief Flowers, thank you for always pushing me, mentoring me, and ultimately supporting me no matter what. To the men and women of the Greer Fire Department, thank you for your passion to serve our community and the support you give me daily. You make me proud, and it's a privilege to serve with you. Lastly, I'm grateful for a city that has leaders that see importance of being involved outside of the local level and support their employees. Now this one's going to be tough. President Caggiano, thank you for your leadership over the past year. You have done an outstanding job relating your vision and goals to the executive committee, staff, and our members. The changes with the conference layouts has turned out amazing. It felt great to be back at the beach, and I look forward to building upon this year. I'm grateful to have served alongside you, but privileged to call you my friend. And like you said a minute ago, I mean, who knew 9 years ago when we started Leadership Institute together that guys from Dorchester, Gaffney, and Greer would all become great friends and serve this great association. Jamie and Trey, thank you for your friendship. Keith, I would be remiss if I did not thank you for your leadership and friendship during our time together on this executive committee. You led us through, as Jamie said earlier, one of the toughest times we've ever seen in our association. And I learned so much from you. It was amazing watching you work, always keeping us on track and learning new ways to fulfill the mission and vision of our association. Even after we had to cancel conference due to COVID, you, staff, and the help of instructors across our state were able to pull off a virtual conference, always striving to serve our members. It is a passion like this, the willing to serve no matter, that truly makes a difference. And thank you for your service. Congratulations on your well-deserved retirement. And I guess the next time I see you, that beard will be a lot fuller. Congratulations to our newly elected 4th Vice President, Brian Christmas. I'm honored to serve with you. In Mark 10:45, Jesus says, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as ransom for many." As we move through this year, you have my word that I'm committed to serving you, our members. Serving you so you can in turn serve your communities, making it better and safer across our great state. I'm committed to working with the executive committee and staff in an effort to discover new opportunities to improve our service delivery to our members. And I ask that we look for ways to better serve you. I challenge you to be committed to being involved in your association. This is not about me, it's about you, our members. Look for opportunities and participate. We have numerous outlets for our members to get involved, as well as numerous benefits available to you. This past January, I had the privilege of attending a surprise birthday party with Chief Charlie King. We went to Donald's Volunteer Fire Department in Abbeville County. Hobie Hobart Erickson had been serving the Donald's Fire Department for over 35 years, only after serving a department in New Jersey for 30 years. At 95 years young, Hobie was believed to be the oldest active firefighter in our association. Seeing Hobie's passion and pride to serve his community and his commitment to the fire service truly made me proud. It was humbling to see a man at 95 still doing whatever he could to make a difference and ultimately making his community safer. We can all learn so much about service by following this man's lead. Hobie passed away in April of this year after a brief illness, and I'm truly honored and blessed that I was able to spend some time with him that evening. I want to challenge you all to serve like Hobie. One key component of serving the members of our association better is to work on building bridges and developing relationships with other associations and agencies within our state. The late Chief and past President Tommy Norris stood here on this stage in 2015 and discussed the importance of building bridges with other organizations. Ultimately, relationships help us serve our members better and more efficiently. Author John C. Maxwell says, relationships are the foundation of leadership. To serve our members better, we must be committed to strengthening relationships with other organizations. We have seen firsthand the benefits of relationships when it comes to collaborative efforts. One of those efforts was recognized earlier today in this room, where State Fire, the State Fire Chiefs Association, the Fire Marshals Association, and the International Association of Arson Investigators recognized departments for making their communities fire safe. It's not about one agency, but instead about giving you the tools to keep Mr. and Ms. Smith safe in your community. Another example is the South Carolina Firefighter Cancer Coalition. Again, relationships were formed to improve the health and benefits of firefighters across our state. We have had firefighters that have received $847,000 to help that would not have happened if it was before July of 2021. From the South Carolina Cancer Benefit Plan. I'm committed to building those bridges and strengthening the relationships that help improve our association for you, our members. This past year, President Caggiano created 2 additional ad hoc committees in an attempt to serve our members better. The first committee was a diversity committee chaired by Assistant Chief Mickey Folsom with the Columbia Fire Department. I had the privilege of attending some of that diversity committee meetings this past year, and they will actually be coordinating small group meetings this year to really get a pulse on diversity in the state's fire service. Your association is devoted to improving the diversity, equity, and inclusion of the fire service. The second committee was the conference committee, chaired by Deputy Chief Mike Norkett with Horry County Fire Rescue. A lot of what you saw this week at Fire Rescue is because of the work of this conference committee and staff. I will be continuing both of these committees this coming year. I also will be standing up a communications ad hoc committee. This committee will focus on looking at the PAL 800 radio system and ways to improve interoperability within the fire service across our state. We know that to have a true state interoperability, everyone needs to be on the same radio system. However, we also understand that the 800 megahertz radio systems are expensive, and the fees make it almost impossible for the smaller departments. The Communications Committee will guide us and work with our Legislative Committee to communicate the state's radio needs to the state legislator. I'm committed to making all firefighters across our state safer by strengthening and improving the state's move-over law through relationships with South Carolina DOT, Tow Truck Association, the Sheriff's Association, and other organizations within our state. President Abraham Lincoln said, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." So as we bring our 117th conference to an end, I challenge each of you, whether you're a rookie volunteer or a seasoned career firefighter, be committed, get involved, serve like Hobie, and never stop creating the future for the fire service in South Carolina. At this time, I'd ask past President Carter Jones to the stage.
Prior to the final gavel, please join me in a prayer and a blessing before the conclusion. Father, we thank you for this week. We give you praise for a great week. We thank you for the opportunity to learn, to see new techniques and the technologies that are available to us, for the opportunities to network, for renewing old friendships and making new ones. We thank you for all who participated and put this program together. And we thank you for the opportunity to learn more in order that we might serve you better. Father, as we conclude this annual conference, we ask that you would see us all home safely. We ask, our Father, that you would see us safely through the next year and bring us back together so that we can enjoy the fellowship of this great, great service. We thank you, our Father, in Jesus' name, amen.
It is my privilege and honor to close our 117th conference. Thank you.